So in this video, I want to do a quick start walkthrough. If this is your first time inside the command center, just want to give you the bare minimum of what you need to at least get started. So let's go ahead and jump right in. The very first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to connect your server to your command center here. If you don't have a current server to be able to do that, just click here on server info. Kind of gives you an idea of what we would recommend. Definitely recommend just going straight with the SSCC hosting packages. The support there is amazing, and one of the neat things about it is that when you do sign up and they get you all set up, they'll send you an email with all the information you'll need to input here directly, so you won't even have to do any of this here setup or anything. This video takes you through a walkthrough if you were going to go and use Vulture, which is another option, but I definitely just easiest way possible is just go ahead and get one from SSCC. You won't regret it. That way, if you ever have any issues or anything, they'll be able to help you out. Most of the time, tickets are answered within hours, sometimes less. So definitely check them out and see if that's something. If you don't have a current BPS or dedicated server that you can use, if you have cPanel, you can use that in here. But I would recommend, if you're planning on building these in bulk, make the switch and you won't regret it. So anyways, once you have your server details, you want to jump over here, hover over your name and go to servers. And so this is where we're going to go ahead and add our servers. It says loading, there's no data there, so there's nothing to load, but you can go ahead and click on add new, and you're going to enter in the details. Now this is why I said it's so awesome to order the servers directly through SSCC, because they'll send you an email with all these details and you won't even have to worry about finding any of this. So I'm going to jump over to my email now, and obviously I'll have to blur out some of the details, but just so that you guys can see. But in this email here that you get once your server's set up, you've got the CID, which is needed right over here. The server pilot email is what you would use to log in. The API key, also included in the email. And the SFTP password, SSH password, same thing. So we didn't have to hop into server pilot and do any of that. You're going to want to, before you save it, just very important to make sure you test it. You should see this server details correct. And then test the SSH password as well. It should let me know that it works. So once I've got both tests working, I can go ahead and save. And now my server shows up on here. So now that we've got the server, the other thing that we want to do is probably connect to the Namecheap API. And the reason we want to do that is just because it makes the process so much easier to be able to purchase domains, update name servers, and do all that right through here. So we jump over to the APIs, and you want to put in your Namecheap username, Namecheap API key. I've got a link right where you can go ahead and get that. If you want to, if you click on that, if you're not logged in, it's going to ask you to log in. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and re-click on that link now that I am logged in. It takes me straight to here, has my API key. I want to make sure that I paste the API key, put in my username. You want to test the API before you save anything. Lets you know what your balance is. I've got a low balance on there, so before I purchase any domains, I need to make sure that I add to my balance. You do definitely, obviously you want a balance in your account before you purchase domains, because whenever you purchase the domains, it goes off the balance there. And before I save it, I want to make sure that I fill all these in because these are all fields required, both by CCAOS, which is another one registrar. If you got SSCC hosting, you have an account with CCAOS. They've got some great sales on XYZ domains every now and then. So definitely you want to make sure you got that in there as well. But I primarily use Namecheap for most of my purchases. But Namecheap, CCAOS, any of the APIs that we add in the future for purchasing domains are more than likely going to require this information, so just make sure you fill that out. I'm going to quickly go through here and put this in here. So let me pause the video while I do that. Now that I've got the information filled in, that's when I want to go ahead and make sure I click save, and I got a little pop-up on the top right said that my information was saved. If we reload this here, we should see that the information's there, so everything's good to go. So we've got the server connected, we've got the APIs connected, or at least the Namecheap API, and now we can actually go ahead and purchase a domain real quick that we can use with this. So if we go over to domain tools, this is where we can purchase a domain, but notice right away that it lets us know we need to add this IP address under allowed IP addresses. So if we look at the API access and we go to whitelisted IPs, that's where you want to make sure that you add that IP address in here. So we just click on add IP, paste the IP address that I've got on there, you got to put in your password, and it will make sure that you can connect to your API from our application here. So let's go ahead and purchase our brand new domain, and using the tools within the command center here, we can also add it to the server right away, so just kind of speed up the process a little bit. I'm just going to use some random characters here just so I can make sure that it's a domain that actually exists. We'll do XYZ. So we'll do an XYZ domain. We'll go ahead and set it to add to the server, and we should only have the one server there. It automatically creates the app name for us. I like to kind of keep it the domain name itself just so it's easy to find. So with that, we can just go ahead and click on purchase domains, and as long as our API is set up correctly, we've got funds in the account. Basically what it's doing right now, it's using the Namecheap API to purchase the domain. It's also going to go ahead and once it verifies that the purchase went through correctly, it's going to go ahead and add it to our server and create that account. So it does it all automatically. So this is what the results will show you if it's registered or not. So if you happen to put in a domain name that doesn't that's already registered, it's just going to let you know that it wasn't able to register it. It's obviously not going to add it to the server since it wasn't able to purchase it. But right now we've got the domain, it's registered, and it's added to the server. So everything went well. If we click on our website tab, we can see our new domain name here. It lets us know that it's available. But right now the domain's not pointed to the server at all. It's it's just been registered at Namecheap, but it doesn't know what your server IP is or anything like that. There's two different ways to point a domain to a server when you're using Server Pilot. You can use the domain tools and do the advanced DNS feature, which is going to ask you to choose a server and enter your domain, and it's going to do the advanced DNS setup in Namecheap itself, just basically pointing the domain directly from Namecheap to the server. Or you can use our built-in Cloudflare feature, which it's right over here, to where we can create a brand new account and point it that way. This is the way I prefer because it gives us a little bit more anonymity and hides our server IP. So what I've been doing is I just create a new account for each of my domains, and I'm just taking the domain name here so I know what it is. But we jump over to Cloudflare. We want to go ahead and create new. We want to create an info, this is what I will do, info@thedomain.x, and make sure you're using a secured password and create account. So once it's created, we can go ahead and go to the settings, and we can go ahead and change the name. So I'm going to change it to info@thedomain.x. And make sure you're using a secured password and create account. So once it's created, we can go ahead and go to the settings, and we can go ahead and change the name. So once it's created, We can go ahead and click OK. We jump back over to Cloudflare. We'll notice our account is there, and then we can add a site to it. Now, since we just registered the domain, there's a good chance that this might fail, and if it does, we'll just come back to it later. Because sometimes when you first register a domain name, the whois info doesn't update, like it doesn't show us if it's an actual purchase or registered domain. But let's go ahead and try it just in case. And if there's an error, we'll just have to come back to it later. So what it's doing right here, it's using the Cloudflare API to set up this domain. Basically, since the command center already knows what the server IP address is, and it already knows what the domain name is, it sets it all up for you. The next thing we need is obviously we need what we call a website template. And the template is just the shell of your website, like the WordPress installation itself. And I've got a base template here if you don't have a template currently set up. Also remember, anytime you're going through any of these steps, if you get stuck, this is just a quick overview video, but there's much more in-depth videos on each of the pages. So for example, if you click on add new and click check this out, it's going to show you how to even create the template. And also there's different areas where we've got videos popping up. But if you jump back over to templates, notice that we've got a base template in here, so we can go ahead and download that. And very important to make sure you download these and you right click and save as, especially if you're on a Mac. Mac has a tendency to download the file immediately and open it up, which means you have to zip it back up yourself, and that just creates a ton of issues. So just if you're on a Mac and it happens to do that on Safari, open it up on Chrome or something, you don't want it to automatically install. You want to be able to just save it just as it is right here. So I would right click, save link as, and I'm going to go ahead and do let's see, save the installer, save the zip file. Once I got those two, I can go ahead and add new template. Give my template a name. I'm just going to call it base, just something to start with. And I've got the, let's see, templates, base. Make sure you find the correct one. Want to add the installer, add the zip file, and upload that template. It's gonna go ahead and upload this for us, save it, and make sure that it's correct. So it takes about a minute or so for that to go through, depending on the size of the file, but you should get these two successfully uploaded. And go over to templates, and it will be there. So now what it's gonna do is when we go to launch our website, it's gonna use this base template, and you're starting out with this base template. You're gonna make whatever tweaks you want to make to it, and then you resave it again. So I'm gonna show you that as we're going through. But we finally, to launch the site, we need a shaker page that goes with it. If you're familiar with SERP Shaker, most of you are, and most of you using the command center are familiar with SERP Shaker, but we need that shaker page that we're going to add to the site. And that's where a lot of our built-in tools come into play. Makes things real easy. You want to start out with a focus keyword. So let's say we're going to make this on auto mechanics. And then the H1 title is, find auto mechanics near me. You start using the short codes that you have in your template. The template that I gave you with the base template takes use of the city, state short, zip, and state, but you can switch those around and whatever fits your particular setup. For the slug, just to make things easier, I'm going to use it exactly the same as the H1 title. Category, I'm just going to keep it at state. Now tags, we've got two different tools. We've got a tool to generate tags. So we put in auto mechanics. We tell it that we want 10 tags and what our shortcodes are. It's automatically going to create those for us. We also have the option of creating them in a bunch of different languages, and we can go ahead and generate that. It uses a few different APIs to kind of come up with these, but it's going to go ahead and put them in there for you. Another feature is, let's say you have your own keyword tool that you use to generate these keywords, and it gives it to you, one per line kind of thing. Then you can input those in there, one per line. It's going to go ahead and style them, meaning make every word, every letter in the word, the first letter in the word, capitalized, so it's nice and neat. And it's also going to go ahead and add these shortcodes and replace the line break with a comma, so just to kind of speed up the process a little bit. For the SEO title, I'm going to keep it exactly the same just to keep it simple once again. And SEO description, looking for auto mechanics and city, state short. Find the top rated mechanics serving the city area. So as you notice as I'm typing here, we've got the little snippet preview going on over here, so it kind of lets us know how things like possibly look in the Google search results. Now, SEO plugin, all depends on whatever plugin you want to use or you have active in your template. The template that I've provided takes advantage of the Platinum SEO pack, but it also works with all-in-one SEO or Yoast SEO. Just depends your personal preference right there. And then finally we come down to the content area. We've got Firestorm, which is just a quick way to grab an article, just a random article. And we've also got Content Genie, which gives you a little bit more control over the articles that you're going to use. So let's go ahead and use Content Genie, and we'll do Auto Mechanic, and we'll tell it to find articles. So it's going through, doing a Google search, and pulling up all the easing articles based on Auto Mechanic. It's going to pull them into a table just like this, 100 different results. You can change this to show multiple results on there, but basically these are the Google search results. So you can pick a few different of these. I'm just going to grab the first 3 or so, and make sure that you're grabbing actual articles. There's some that are trying to find like a category type page. I don't see any of them, but sometimes you'll see something like this where it's just got the ID. That might not be a good one to use. The software, the script's not going to know how to grab that one. There's also some that happen to be like an author page or a category page. Those won't work. But once you've chosen your articles, you want to go ahead and grab content. It's going to go through one by one the ones that you've selected and pull those in here, and you'll see where the article split happens with the little lines. Every now and then it does fail and doesn't pull it in, so you just maybe will have 2 lines followed with nothing in between. It just means it failed to grab that article, but for the most part it seems to be really consistent in grabbing that article. And then we can do the typical SERP shaker type stuff to it, where we start adding the city, state shortcodes wherever it makes sense. So you can just sprinkle it throughout anywhere you want. We also have a link previous post, next post type thing built in. Just select the keyword, previous post, select another keyword, next post. We've got the map, video, weather, and random post. Works exactly the same as it does in SERP Shaker. It's just basically so that you create the Shaker page just like you would in SERP Shaker, so that by the time you go to launch it, all you have to do is log in and hit build pages and post. We do have a built-in integration with Spin Rewriter, Word AI. You'd have to enter that API into the API area up here if you want to take advantage of this. And if you want to see in depth, how those works, we've got the video on this page here that gives you a whole overview of how everything works. Now finally, we have a way to analyze the content. And notice that right now it's saying the text contains 9 words. We have to reanalyze that to be able to pull in the new content we've added. And it starts to let the focus keyword doesn't appear in the first paragraph of the copy, what the keyword density is, what the copy score is, meta description if it happens to be too short, how much words your text have, that all this sort of stuff, a lot of ranking factors for on-page SEO is being analyzed on there. Once you have everything set up it's like you wanted, you can go ahead and click on add new shaker page. Normally we could just add it and launch right away, but I would like to make sure that the website is working correctly, it's propagated correctly, just because we just added it to Cloudflare. So we jump over to websites. We can click on the website here. We should see the Server Pilot default page. We see the app name there. That lets me know that it's set up correctly. So then now we can just jump over to Shaker Pages. Go to find the Shaker page we just created. Hit launch. It's going to ask us to choose the website. We've only got this one here. And the template, which was the base template we've got. We want to hit launch. This is going to take about between 30 seconds to a minute. What it's doing is going to install WordPress on this domain here. It's going to be using our base template, so that means our plugins or themes that we've got set up in that template are going to be working. Obviously, this is the base that you're using from me here, so it doesn't have any of your customizations. You can do that. Follow the video on templates to be able to make those tweaks to that specific template, so that way the next time you launch you actually have those customizations already on there. But now that it's launched, we can just go into the domain here. We'll see it's just an empty WordPress site. We want to log into it, so just go to the WP admin, username and password. If you're using the template that I provided, you'll find them right on here, WP admin password. So it's very important that you make sure that you change these out once you launch it. So in essence, you're going to use my template the first time and then make a few tweaks to it, personalize it to yourself, change users. So you're going to add a new admin user, delete the old admin user, add your API keys, your whatever you want to add to it, your themes, change it all up, and then resave it using Duplicator. And like I said, if you go to templates and add new template, you're going to find a video right in there that's going to show you how to set that up, this creating template one. So just go through that. That's going to walk you through that, so that way you can customize this template, make it perfect for you. But in essence, you launch a new site. You can go to Shaker Pages, find the Shaker page, edit here, and all you have to do then is just hit build pages and post. It's going to start creating those posts. And then one thing I like to do while this is going on is I'm going to open up the post page in a new tab. I just want to verify that the number is increasing, and I can close out this one here with the Shaker page where it's building out, and that prevents any issues that comes with sometimes overbuilding. So I just want to, I'm just refreshing a couple more times, just making sure that the number continues to go up. It is going up, so I know that it's building in the background. I don't have to worry about it, and I can continue working here in the command center. It is a good idea to have quite a few websites preloaded. I would say like 10 or so at a time, because if you go to add a new one right now while your posts are building, it's going to cut that off. So just something to keep in mind for your workflow is, add whatever websites you're going to work with, then add the content, start doing that, and then finally start building the post over here. But you don't want to add a new website while that's building out. Normally it takes about 10-15 minutes for all the posts and so to build out, so you can just leave it as is, jump to the next one, and keep going.